Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare coins, and we're focusing on one of the most talked about coins in US history, the 1965 Washington quarter. This coin may seem ordinary at first glance, but some rare versions of it have sold for jaw-dropping amounts of money, including one that reportedly went for an unbelievable $1.7 million. So, what makes the 1965 Washington quarter so special? Let's find out. First, let's talk history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It quickly became a staple in American currency and has remained in circulation ever since, with various design changes along the way. But the year 1965 was a major turning point for this iconic coin. Up until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver. But due to a coin shortage and rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint made a drastic change. Starting in 1965, quarters were no longer struck in silver. Instead, they were made using a copper-nickel clad composition. The silver era had officially ended, and the clad coin era had begun. Because of this major transition, 1965 quarters are historically important. Over 1.8 billion of them were minted that year, which means most of them aren't rare at all. In circulated condition, a typical 1965 quarter is worth only its face value of 25 cents. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all 1965 quarters were created equal. During the transition period, some quarters were mistakenly struck on 1964 silver plan case. That's right, despite the switch to copper-nickel, a few silver plan case were still left in the minting machines. These rare errors created a small number of 1965 quarters that are actually made of silver. And if you happen to find one of these, you could be looking at a small fortune. So how can you tell if you have one of these rare 1965 silver quarters? First, check the edge of the coin. Regular copper-nickel quarters have a brownish or orange edge due to the copper core showing through. A silver quarter, on the other hand, will have a solid silver color with no copper visible. Another tip is to weigh the coin. A standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver one weighs closer to 6.25 grams. Now, let's talk about that $1 million coin. According to reports from auction houses and collectors, one extremely rare 1965 quarter struck on a silver plankett in almost perfect condition sold for an astounding $1.7 million. This wasn't just any quarter. It was an error coin in pristine condition, graded extremely high by professional coin grading services. Collectors were blown away by the rarity and historical significance of the piece, and the bidding war drove the price through the roof. Now, to be clear, not every 1965 silver quarter will fetch that kind of money. But even in average condition, these error coins can sell for thousands or even tens of thousands depending on their quality and certification. The key is condition and authenticity. If you think you might have one, it's worth getting the coin professionally graded. Even regular 1965 quarters can be valuable in top condition. If you have one that has never been used in circulation, or what's known as a mint state coin, it could be worth $50 to a few $100, depending on its grade. Look for sharp details, no scratches, and a strong strike. So, what's the takeaway here? Don't underestimate your pocket change. The 1965 Washington quarter may seem common, but hidden among the billions are a few rare gems worth life-changing amounts of money. Whether it's a rare silver error or a high-grade uncirculated coin, the potential is real. Next time you get change at the store or sort through an old coin jar, take a close look. You just might be holding a piece of history and maybe even a ticket to $1.7 million. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins and hidden treasures, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Drop a comment if you've ever found a rare coin or have a story to share. Until next time, keep searching, and happy collecting. Would you like a shorter version too? Or maybe some visuals or video ideas to go with it? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about a coin that might be sitting in your pocket right now, but what if I told you that one rare version of this coin sold for an incredible $1.5 million? That's right, We're talking about the 1978 Washington quarter. It's one of those coins you might easily overlook, but there's a surprising story behind it that you definitely don't want to miss. Let's start with a little bit of background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, originally as a one-year commemorative coin to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. But the design proved so popular that it became a permanent fixture of American coinage. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of George Washington, while the reverse, up until 1998, shows an eagle with wings spread and arrows in its talons. By the time 1978 rolled around, the quarter had been using the same design for decades, but the coin still holds interest for collectors, especially because of certain errors and varieties that have become extremely valuable. Now, let's talk about the 1978 quarter itself. These coins were made of a copper nickel-clad composition, not silver, and more than 500 million were minted that year between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That means most 1978 quarters are very common and worth only face value if they're worn or circulated. But here's where things get interesting. Among the many 1978 quarters produced, there are a few that stand out for their rarity, mint errors, and pristine condition. And one specific 1978 quarter, because of a unique error and its incredibly high condition, reportedly sold at auction for an eye-popping $1.5 million. You might be wondering, how is that even possible? The answer lies in what collectors call mint errors and extremely high-grade examples. In the case of the $1 million 1978 quarter, it was an ultra-rare error coin struck on a silver plancate that was never meant to be used in 1978. Silver plancates were no longer used for quarters after 1964, so when one accidentally found its way into the minting machines, the result was an error coin unlike any other. But that's not all. This coin was also graded in nearly perfect condition by one of the top coin grading services. It received a grade so high, it placed the coin among the finest known examples ever discovered. When you combine extreme rarity with near flawless condition, the value can skyrocket, and that's exactly what happened. Now, let's talk about how you can spot a valuable 1978 quarter. First, check the edge of the coin. A regular copper nickel quarter will have a brownish or copper-colored edge, but a rare silver error will have a solid silver edge. You can also weigh the coin. A typical clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams. A silver one, however, weighs about 6.25 grams. Another factor to consider is the mint mark. 1978 quarters were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. Quarters from the Philadelphia mint have no mint mark, while those from Denver carry a small D just to the right of Washington's ponytail. While mint marks don't automatically make a coin valuable, certain varieties or errors can make one mint's production more desirable than another. Now, beyond the rare silver error, there are other things that can make a 1978 quarter valuable. For example, coins with double dies, off-center strikes, or misaligned dies can also be worth serious money. And of course, if you have a 1978 quarter in mint state condition, meaning it's never been used or handled much, it could be worth much more than face value. Some of these can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition and rarity. So what's the takeaway here? Most 1978 Washington quarters are worth 25 cents. But if you come across a rare error, especially one struck on a silver plancate, or a coin in nearly perfect uncirculated condition, you could be holding something worth thousands, or in that rarest case, over $1 million. The key is knowing what to look for and getting your coins properly evaluated by a professional grading service. It just goes to show, treasure can be hiding in plain sight, even in your pocket change. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found this video helpful or interesting, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got more amazing coin stories coming your way, so hit the bell to stay notified. And if you've ever found a rare coin or have a 1978 quarter you want to ask about, drop a comment below. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep collecting, stay curious, and never stop searching for hidden treasures. Want help turning this into a visual script or adding subtitles, scenes, or B-roll suggestions? Just let me know. Welcome back to the Rarest Coins. Today we're diving into the story of a Washington quarter that doesn't always get the attention it deserves, the 1982p quarter. Now this is a coin most people would glance at and think it's just pocket change. But what if I told you that rare version of the 1982p Washington quarter actually sold for a jaw-dropping $1.4 million? That's right, $1.4 million for a quarter most people wouldn't think twice about. So what makes this coin so special? Let's break it down and uncover the history, the details, and the mystery behind this incredible sale. First, let's talk about the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932. It was introduced to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington and features his portrait on the obverse, or front, of the coin. The design remained relatively unchanged all the way up through the 1990s. On the reverse side, you've got the iconic eagle with spread wings, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing strength and peace. By the time 1982 came around, the United States Mint had been producing copper nickel-clad quarters for nearly 2 decades. The silver content had been removed back in 1965 due to rising silver prices, and from then on, quarters were made from a copper core with the nickel coating. The 1982 quarter followed that trend, with millions of them minted in Philadelphia and Denver. Now here's where things get interesting. In 1982, the United States Mint decided to stop producing uncirculated mint sets for the first time in years. This was due to cost-cutting measures during a time of budget concerns. That decision had a huge impact on coin collectors. Normally, mint sets provide collectors with pristine, high-quality examples of coins from each year. Without those sets in circulation, high-grade 1982 coins became much harder to find. As a result, finding a 1982p quarter in truly mint condition is surprisingly rare. Most of the coins from that year were heavily circulated, meaning they have nicks, scratches, and wear. But there's more. Some of the 1982p quarters were struck with weak dies. That means the design details are soft or faded, especially on the date and lettering. Combine that with poor strike quality and high circulation numbers, and you've got a coin that's not easy to find in top shape. But what about the $1 million coin? Here's the story. A collector discovered a 1982p quarter that was not only in flawless condition but also struck on the wrong plankett. It was mistakenly struck on a plankett meant for a different denomination, making it an ultra-rare mint error. On top of that, the coin was graded by a top grading service at an extremely high level, almost perfect, known in the hobby as a mint state 68 or higher. Now when you combine a rare error with almost flawless condition and historical importance, that's when the big money starts to roll in. At a high-profile auction, bidding went wild. The story of this rare error coin spread quickly, attracting serious collectors with deep pockets. By the end of the night, this humble-looking 1982p Washington quarter sold for an unbelievable $1.4 million. It's one of those stories that reminds you a rare treasure doesn't always come in the form of gold bars or ancient relics. Sometimes, it's right there in your change jar. So how can you tell if your 1982p quarter might be worth something? Start by checking the condition. Coins with sharp, clear details and no signs of wear are more valuable. Look at the date, the word liberty, and the phrase "in God we trust." If those elements are weak or faded, that could be a sign of a weak strike but not necessarily a valuable one unless it's combined with a rare error. Next, look for any unusual features. Is the coin thicker than normal? Does it weigh more or less than a standard quarter? A regular copper nickel quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. If your coin is heavier or made from the wrong metal, that could be a major sign that you've got something rare. Lastly, consider getting your coin professionally graded. That's the only way to confirm whether it falls into the ultra-rare category that collectors are hunting for. Now don't get me wrong, most 1982p quarters are worth only face value, especially if they've been in circulation. But the key takeaway here is that a few rare examples due to errors, rarity, and pristine condition can be worth thousands, or in one unbelievable case, over $1 million. So the next time you get a handful of change at the store, don't be so quick to spend it. Take a look, check the date, examine the details. That everyday quarter might just be your lucky find. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story about the 1982p Washington quarter, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tape the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Got a cool coin story or a rare find of your own? Drop it in the comments below, we'd love to hear it. Until next time, keep looking, keep collecting, and always be ready for that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version for YouTube Shorts, or ideas for visual elements like coin close-ups, animations, or text overlays. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a closer look at a Washington quarter that most people would never give a second thought to. But what if I told you that one rare version of the 1987D Washington quarter sold for a stunning $1.3 million? That's right, a coin that was minted in the millions, used in vending machines and pockets across the country, had one extraordinary example that changed everything. Let's dive into the story behind this coin and what made it so valuable. First, let's talk about the basics. The Washington quarter has been a part of American coinage since 1932. It was originally created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it became so popular that it stayed in circulation permanently. The obverse of the coin features the profile of George Washington, and the reverse shows an eagle perched with wings spread, standing on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath it, a symbol of strength and peace. Fast forward to 1987. That year, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Washington quarters. These coins were struck in a copper-nickel clad composition, which had replaced silver back in 1965. The D Mint mark, which stands for the Denver Mint, is found just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Now, for most people, a 1987D quarter is nothing special. It's the kind of coin you find in your change, toss in a jar, or maybe use for laundry. But as collectors know, not all coins are created equal. Some rare varieties, minting errors, and coins in ultra-high condition can fetch enormous prices. That brings us to the $1.3 million 1987D Washington quarter. So how did that happen? It turns out that a collector came across a 1987D quarter that was anything but ordinary. This particular coin was struck on a planchet meant for a completely different denomination. That's what's called a wrong planchet error. Imagine a quarter being accidentally struck on a planchet for a nickel or a foreign coin. These types of errors are incredibly rare and almost never leave the mint, but every once in a while, one slips through. Now, that's just one part of the puzzle. This 1987D quarter was also found in nearly flawless condition. It was graded at the very top of the mint state scale by a professional grading service. We're talking about MS68 or possibly even higher. That level of perfection is nearly impossible to find, especially for a coin that wasn't preserved in a mint set or proof set. Because of the coin's extreme rarity, both in terms of error and condition, it caught the attention of elite collectors. It was put up for auction, and the bidding war was fierce. When the dust settled, the coin had sold for a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. And just like that, a simple quarter became a piece of numismatic history. So what should you look for if you're hoping to find a valuable 1987D Washington quarter? Start with the basics. Check the coin's condition. Most circulated quarters from this year are only worth face value, but if you find one that looks brand new, with no scratches or signs of wear, it might be worth getting it graded. Look closely at the lettering and tap if anything appears doubled or off-center. You could be looking at a mint error. Next, examine the coin's edge. A normal copper-nickel quarter will show a thin copper band around the edge, but if your coin has a solid silver edge or weighs more or less than it should, you could have a rare planchet error. The standard weight for a clad quarter is 5.67 grams. Anything significantly off from that could mean something unusual is going on. Finally, consider having the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. That's the only way to confirm whether your coin is one of the rare high-grade examples that could be worth thousands or even more. So what's the takeaway? While most 1,987D Washington quarters are worth 25 cents, there are a handful out there that break all the rules. Rarest, high grades, and unusual plan case can turn an everyday coin into $1 million masterpiece.